Hare Krishna. Welcome again to our evening katha. Well and safe. We want to thank you for our prayers for our brothers and sisters in Dhaka, Bangladesh. Out of 31 devotees who got corona, everyone except one has been completely cured, and they did it all by naturopathic medicine, no funny chemicals and stuff. So we thank you for your prayers, and hopefully the last one will also be cured very soon. And today is a very special day. So many things happen today. This is the appearance day of Parameshwar Thakur, the appearance day of Madhavendra Puri, the appearance of Radharamanji, and disappearance of Srinivas Acharya, and also Krishna's Pul Dol and Salil Bihar. So it's the full moon of the month of Vaisak. And also I've heard from other sources it's also the appearance day of Lord Buddha. It's not in our calendar, but from other sources I heard. So appearance of Srinivas. I said. And main thing, of course, is Radharaman's appearance. So we'll sing a nice song in honor of Radharaman. Jai Jai Radharamana Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radharamana Hari Bol. Radharamana Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radharamana Hari Bol. Radharamana Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radharamana Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radharamana Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radharamana Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radharamana 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 Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Jai Radharamana 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 Hari Bol. Sri Radharaman Lal Ji Maharaj Ki Jai. So again we welcome you to our evening katha. We're sitting here in the middle of the lawn of the Brahmachari ashram, and today is a very special day, Vaisak Purnima, the appearance of 478th appearance day of Radharaman Lal, and appearance day of Srinivas Acharya, Parameshwar Thakur, and Krishna Salil Bihar, and Pul Dol, and what else did I miss? Also Lord Buddha's appearance day. So we'll begin with Radha Raman. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chaksurun Militanjena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swaparandhigam Aradana Srinandandai Ridam Yache Puna Puna Srimad Rupa Padambujo Dulisyam Janma Janmani Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Panchakalpatrubhyascha Kripa Sindhuvevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. So to understand about the appearance of Radharaman, we have to go all the way back to when Lord Chaitanya went on his South Indian tour. Just before Chaturmasya started, he crossed over the Kaveri River and entered into Srirangam, where Lord Ranganath presides. Mahaprabhu came in, he began dancing in ecstatic praying before the deity of Ranganath. And all the crowds were ecstatic. They had never seen such ecstatic praying before. So something different was going on in the temple room. So everybody ran to Venkatabhatta, who was the head priest of Ranganath temple at that time. He came there, he saw the ecstatic praying of this glowing golden personality. He also began to dance in ecstasy and losing himself into Krishna Prem. When Mahaprabhu finally calmed down, then he fell at his feet and said, Prabhu, if you will come to my house and accept prasad, I will feel very honored. So Mahaprabhu, seeing his devotion, he agreed to come to his house. When he received him in his house, first thing he did was wash Mahaprabhu's lotus feet. Then he gave that charnamrit to all his family members to drink. When Gopal, he had a son named Gopal who was about 11 years old, and when Gopal drank that water, then he began to cry and tears came from his eyes and shivering and hair standing in, all the sattviki bhavs began to manifest within his body. Then Mahaprabhu noted this is a special personality. So after taking his meal and taking his rest, then Venkatabhatta came to the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu and told him, Prabhu, tomorrow starts Chaturmasya, the rainy season. The roads will be washed out, the bridges may be broken, there'll be so many difficulties, very muddy path. All the sadhus and saints, they stay in one place for 4 months. So you just stay here at my house for 4 months. He was very clever. Because Mahaprabhu, he never stayed more than 3 days with anyone. But Venkatabhatta was very clever. He got Mahaprabhu for 4 months. So during those 4 months, Gopal Bhatta got to hear directly from the mouth of Sriman Mahaprabhu. He had special VIHE class. You imagine coming here to Vrindavan and your teacher is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. 4 months he heard from Sriman Mahaprabhu. And he became completely attached to the Lord. And the more he heard and he began to hear about the Lord's earlier Leela, he became anxious because now he was in the garb of a sannyasi with shaven head. But he understood in Nadia, in Navadvip, he was a young boy with curly hair and very lovely and joking with his friends. He wished to see that form. He was crying. He cursed Lord Brahma that why did you make me take birth in such a far off place? I could not see the early Leela of the Lord. This is a big curse. What is the use of this life, taking this birth here in this place? And he weeping, he fell asleep. So Lord Chaitanya, he's the Supreme Personality Godhead himself, Krishna, he understood his heart. So when he went to sleep, he got a dream, and that dream, he saw Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Nabadvip Leelas, Nimai, with long curly hair, playing pranks with his friends. So many wonderful Leelas he saw manifest before his eyes. This is described in Bhakti Ratnakar. And he was completely overwhelmed. Then he saw that same Nimai turned into Bhagavan Sri Krishna himself, Brajendanandan Shamsundar. He was totally amazed. In the morning he went to see Mahaprabhu, he bowed down. When he got up, he saw Krishna sitting there. The next moment, he saw Nimai. The next moment, he saw the sannyasi, his sannyasi vesh, before his very eyes. Again, he fell at the lotus feet of the Lord. So in this way, 4 months passed, and Mahaprabhu, various joking ways, he gradually convinced Venkatabhatta about the supreme absolute truth, because Venkatabhatta was a worshipper of Lakshmi Narayan. So one day when they were walking by the Kaveri river, Mahaprabhu spoke some joking words. He said, "Your Lakshmiji is the most chaste woman in the universe." He said, "Yes, that's true." Then why she performed penances and austerities to get the association of Krishna in Vrindavan? He said, "That's just another form of my Lord. There's no difference. So if she wants to associate with her Lord in another form, there's no difficulty." No, that's true, Mahaprabhu said. But she performed those penance and austerities, just like we go across the river Jamuna to Belvan, we can see Lakshmiji still there performing penances and austerities. Then why she wasn't allowed to enter the Ras Leela? Then Venkatabhatta said, "Now I reached the limit of my intelligence. Only you know your pastimes, I can't explain." So Mahaprabhu explained the 4 ecstatic features that are there in Krishna that aren't in Narayan. His Leela Madhurya, his Prema Madhurya, his Venu Madhurya, his what's the other one? Anyway, he has 4 qualities just now. No. So, senior moment. Anyway, and that no one can enter the Ras Leela without becoming follower of the gopis of Braj. Just like the Shrutis, they glorify Krishna in so many ways, and that when Krishna asked what do they want, he said, they said, "We want to see where you stay." So Krishna took them all the way up beyond Vaikuntha up to the Golok Vrindavan, where he saw the gopis worshipping Krishna in ecstatic prema. And they said, "We want to become like these gopis." So becoming followers of the gopis, they were able to enter the rasa dance. But Lakshmi's got this abhiman, this pride that I'm the wife of Vaikuntapati Lord Narayan. So how's she going to make cow patties and milk cows and things like that? So she's still sitting there in Belvan waiting to enter the Ras Leela of Sri Krishna. In this way, Gopal Bhatt was also listening to all these things. So Mahaprabhu trained Gopal, he took special care of him, seeing that he was an extraordinary person. And when at the end of 4 months, when he was ready to leave, everybody was devastated, especially Gopal. And Mahaprabhu said, "No, you can't come with me." He wanted to go with Mahaprabhu. He said, "No, you can't come with me. Your parents are great Vaishnavas. You serve them until they leave their bodies. You study the Shastras very thoroughly. Your uncle Prabodhanand is very expert. He will teach you. And whatever you do, your parents will try to get you married in so many ways. Don't ever get married." He told his parents also, "You don't marry this boy." Then Mahaprabhu left on his South Indian tour. So Gopal Bhatta, he followed the order of the Lord. He studied the Shastras. People were amazed. People came from far and wide, understanding the great erudition of Gopal Bhatta. And his uncle Prabodhanand was very, very expert excuse me, in the Shastras, and was able to explain the deep meanings of the Shastras. And that the ultimate goal of life is to achieve ecstatic praying for Krishna, Brajendanandan Shamsundar. So after his parents left this world, then just like a calf, when you go to milk the cow, first they let the calf drink the milk. The calf is tied up. As soon as you let the cat go, he just runs to his mother. So in this way, Gopal Bhatt, he ran to Vrindavan to meet Rupa and Sanatan, as that was the order of Mahaprabhu. Had Mahaprabhu ordered him to go to Navadvip, he would have immediately run to Navadvip. But but he never again saw Mahaprabhu like he did in Sri Rangam. And when he met Rupa Goswami and Sanatana Goswami, they were overjoyed. They had heard from Mahaprabhu that this young man is coming. He was very important, and you help him and you treat him just like a younger brother. So they were overjoyed. So overjoyed they send a messenger. It's not like nowadays we have instant messenger and WhatsApp and so many things. People had to walk for thousands of miles to carry messages. So it wasn't done every day, but this was such a special event that Gopal Bhatta had arrived in Vrindavan. They sent a special messenger to go to Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu sent back a messenger, and he gave Gopal Bhatta his kopan, his out external garment, and a little wooden asan, which are still there in Radharaman temple. And told him that you stay there in Vrindavan, you worship these things as non-different from myself. So he never got the association again of Sriman Mahaprabhu. Finally, when he got the news that Mahaprabhu has left this world, he was overwhelmed with grief. And Mahaprabhu, according to Bhakti Ratnakar, Mahaprabhu had told him that you go get some Shalagram Shilas. One of those Shilas will manifest into a very beautiful deity known as Radharaman. So since he was overwhelmed with grief, even living in Vrindavan became tasteless for him without Mahaprabhu's presence. So he took off for Nepal. On the way at the foot of the Himalayas, he passed a village near Saharanpur, and there was one great Brahmin named Madhav Prasad Sharma. And he was invited to Gopal to stay in his house for some time, and he had two sons, Damodar and Gopinath. So Gopal Bhatta asked him that I have no one to travel with me, I have a long journey, please let one of your sons travel with me. So he sent Gopinath along with Gopal Bhatta. And they traveled all the way to Muktinath, to the Gandaki river, and Gopal Bhatta entered the Gandaki river, and he was going to take bath, and he took his lota and he scooped just from the top of the water, and suddenly some Shalagram Shilas came in his lota, and he didn't scrape the bottom of the river at all, so he dumped them out, and again he dipped, again these Shalagram Shilas were there, again he dumped them out, again the third time he saw these Shilas were there, he thought this must be something special. So he kept those Shilas. There was 12 in all. One of the most beautiful of them was this Damodar Shila. So, and he traveled back to just near Saharanpur, and at that time Gopinath expressed his desire to his father that I want to go with Gopal back to Vrindavan. So he took Gopinath back with him to Vrindavan. And he found a nice place just beside Nidhuvan, or actually part of Nidhuvan, and underneath the tree he made his little kutir. And he used to keep a little bag and hang them in a banyan tree, the Shilas in a banyan tree, and worship them very nicely, praying for the day when one will manifest as Lord Krishna. So one day, one businessman came from Calcutta, and he was going around to all the temples and great devotees and offering them mukuts and dresses and crowns and different paraphernalia for their deities. But Gopal Bhatta, all he had was a Shalagram Shila, so he was feeling sad that I can't accept these things. I have no deity to clothe them with. He was feeling sad. So that day happened to be the day before Vaisak Purnima, Nrsimha Chaturdasi. So as in the evening he read that part of 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, all about Nrsimhadev Leela, and at the end he's prayed to the Lord that just as you have saved your devotee Prahlad, you have to save me. I'm burning in the fire of separation. And he closed the book, put his Shilas away, and took rest. Next day on the Purnima, Vaisak Purnima day, he took his bath in the Jamuna, and then he took his shilas down to do his worship. When he opened up the bag, this beautiful deity of Radharaman was there. And he was so enchanting. He had from the waist to the toe, he was Sakshat Madan Mohan. His Vakshasthal, chest, was Gopinath. And his beautiful face was Mukha Chandra, the moon-like face of Govindadev. And all the Goswamis came and they saw that all the three deities of Vrindavan are present in the form of one deity. They were all amazed. They performed a very elaborate bathing ceremony for Abhishek and installed, well, he's already installed, but anyway, they performed a very elaborate Abhishek for Lord to welcome him. In this way, all the Goswamis were very happy that Gopal got this beautiful deity of Radharaman, which he worshipped. Eventually somebody built a temple. He worshipped him in the temple. And it's described that he worshipped the Lord with so much ecstatic prema, and so very carefully, again according to all the rules and regulations. But main ingredient was prema. The fourth wave of Bhakti Ratnakar says that he was worshipping with so much prema that one day Radharaman revealed himself as Gauranga Mahaprabhu himself. So although he didn't get Mahaprabhu's darshan again, really, but he still got Mahaprabhu's darshan in the form of Radharaman. And our Padmanabh explained to me that at some point a Radharani deity was established with Radharaman, but mysteriously she disappeared. So to this day they have a little gold yantra on the altar that they worship as Radharani. They put a little chandrika and cloth there to represent her presence. So this is a very exquisitely beautiful deity. If you get very heavy binoculars and you can see the toenails of it. Even the toenails are there, the fingernails are there, the rings on his toes are there. You can see, so delicate. Nobody could have possibly. This is a self-manifest deity. And he's one of the original deities and still in Vrindavan. Padmanabh Goswami explained to me that during the Mughal invasion, they took Radharaman to Jaipur themselves. All the others had been taken by some king. They took him themselves, and without taking any money from the king, whatever donations they got, they worshipped their Lord, so they weren't dependent on anyone. And so when terror was over, they were able to return with their deity to Vrindavan. He's one of the original deities of Vrindavan, who's still in Vrindavan. And he's a favorite of everyone. This morning we were watching the Abhishek on the internet, so beautiful. We were just amazed at the beautiful form of the Lord. Beautiful form of the Lord. His glories are described. The beautiful verse that the Goswamis of Radharaman temples sing every evening. Pranadana Sri Radharamana Lala Jai 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 Sri Bhatta Gopal Mor Mukutta Pitambara Sohe Ur Vaijanti Mal Kanan Mek Makara Kriti Kundal Bedi Jalake Bahal Gungaravali Alaka Jalake Baki Nayana Vishal Kati Kinkani Paganu Purbaje Murali Adar Rasal Sri Vrindavan Ki Kunja Galina Me Chalata Chala Maral Sanga Sanga Sri Gopala Bhattaju Jalaka Prema Rasal Sri Gopinath Prabhu Ki Chabi Nirakat Bhaktan Ke Pratipal Pyaro Sri Radharamana Lala Jai 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 Sri Bhatta Gopal Jai Sri Vrindavana Rasika Rasal Sri Chaitanya Jeev Urmal Sri Rupa Sanatan Prema Rasal Inki Padaraj Daru Bal Sri Gopinath Prabhu Karata Nihal Hare Hare Sri Radharamana Pyaro Karata Nihal Pranadan Sri Radharamana Lala Jai 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 Sri Bhatta Gopal. They sing this every evening. It's very, very beautiful to listen to them singing this song. And one point that I forgot was Gopal Bhatta, when he got to his old age, he told Gopinath, you get yourself married. The descendants of your family will take care of the deity. He said, look, I haven't married till now, I'm not interested, but my brother Damodar, he's already married. So then he went back to Saharanpur, brought Damodar. Damodar took Diksha from Gopal Bhatta and his family. He had 4 sons, those 4 lines are still worshipping Radharaman. Everyone gets, the 4 branches, they get 6 months each, like that. And so every, like 2 years or such, each family gets the chance to worship him. Oh, we forgot. Radharaman, sometimes he manifests teeth. It's not all the time, but sometimes you'll see the picture and you can see little white dots. Sometimes you see 2 or 3, sometimes 4 or 5. It's very mystical. You can never know when it's going to happen. And if you have very sharp binoculars, you can see Radharaman's face. It appears to be looking straight ahead, but it's actually turned slightly to the left toward Radharani. Very, very interesting. So, Adi Leela chapter 10, verse 105 says, Sri Gopala Bhatta Eka Shaka Sarvotam Rupa Sanatan Sange Nyar Prema Alapana. Sri Gopata Goswami, the 47th branch of Mahaprabhu's tree, was one of the great and exalted branches of the tree. It says here, Sarvotam, the best. He was always engaged in discourses about love of Godhead in the company of Rupa and Sanatan Goswamis. So today is that day that Radharaman deity manifests just from the Damodar Shila. And Gopal Bhatta just happened to be the spiritual master of Srinivas Acharya, who has his appearance day today also. Srinivas, his father has an interesting history. His father was living in a village somewhere north of Navadvip, but he was always hearing the glories of Nimai. And he became very attached to him, but due to his occupation and so many things, he could never go to Navadvip to see the Lord. Finally, some opportunity came to go see the Lord. He started south, and on the way he came to the city of Katwa. When he got to Katwa, he found that Nimai was there in the ashram of Keshav Bharati, about to take sannyas. And he was astonished. He couldn't imagine. He'd heard all these glorious descriptions of young Nimai with his curly locks and his beautiful golden body with so many ornaments. He couldn't imagine without ornaments, without hair. He couldn't manage. He ran there. He got there just as the barber Madhu was trying to cut, but he couldn't. He was crying. He couldn't cut that hair. Finally, Mahaprabhu forced him, and he shaved Mahaprabhu. But it wasn't like he was doing it. It was like he was just a puppet in Mahaprabhu's hands. Mahaprabhu shaved off his locks, and then Keshav Bharati gave him the name Sri Krishna Chaitanya, and he just began to shout, Chaitanya, 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 Chaitanya. He was completely lost in ecstasy, chanting the name Chaitanya, Chaitanya. Therefore everyone gave him the nickname Chaitanya Das. In fact, since Mahaprabhu was leaving Navadvip, there was no reason to go. He returned home. And he was just chanting Chaitanya, Chaitanya. He came in the house, he fell on the floor, began rolling on the floor. Chaitanya, 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 Chaitanya. Finally, his wife came home and she saw her husband just rolling on the floor. She grabbed his feet and she was rolling on the floor. Chaitanya, 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 Chaitanya. This is the way to have householder life. So, eventually they decided, Chaitanya Das and his wife, to go to Puri and get audience of Mahaprabhu. They came there. Mahaprabhu told them to go take darshan of Lord Jagannath with his beautiful lotus petal eyes, with so merciful glance. So they went there, they took darshan. When they returned, Mahaprabhu said, your desire will be fulfilled. They had not said anything. He said, your desire will be fulfilled. Then he turned to Govinda, he said, they are desiring to have a child. And Jagannath it also desires to fulfill that desire, and this will be a very special soul. So in due course of time, on this Vaisak Purnima, little Srinivas, they named him, Mahaprabhu told, you name him Srinivas. So Srinivas Acharya appeared. And later, he traveled to all the holy places in Navadvip, but many of the devotees had already disappeared. Even Mahaprabhu had disappeared. He was forlorn, but whoever was left told him to continue on. And he was very expert. He'd been trained in the scriptures, so he was very expert. So finally he decided to go to Vrindavan. When he got to Vrindavan, he was accepted as a student of Srila Jiva Goswami, along with Dukhi Krishnadas, who became Shamananda, and Narottam Das Thakur, who became Narottam Das Thakur. And seeing his knowledge of the Shastras, Jiva Goswami nicknamed him Srinivas Acharya. But he was very attracted to Gopal Bhatta, although Gopal Bhatta, we don't find hardly anything. Just we found this one little verse in Chaitanya Charitamrita. We don't find many verses about Gopal Bhatta, because he told Krishnadas Kaviraj that I'm very fallen, that no one should hear about me. So very carefully Krishnadas here and there has kept Gopal Bhatta's name. His name is not there. So he became the disciple of Gopal Bhatta Goswami. And then Jiva Goswami made Srinivas the head of the first traveling Sankirtan party. It's just like nowadays we take an old Dodge van, take out all the seats, make a big platform, put all the books underneath, and we sit and sleep on top. This is exactly following the footsteps of the Goswamis. Jiva Goswami had some merchants in Mathura make a special Sankirtan van from a bullock cart, big strong bullock cart with a space underneath to keep all the books, because the Goswamis were writing all this literature, and nobody knew what was going on. They were very. That beautiful song of Srinivas Acharya, Nana Shastra Vichara Naik, and they were studying all the Shastras and coming to the Saddharma, the eternal principles. So they needed to send all this philosophy and knowledge back to Bengal. So they packed it all up, and Srinivas was the head of the party, Sankirtan party. Narottam Das was there, Shamananda was there. And they traveled all the way across India without any trouble whatsoever. When they reached Bengal, they came to the kingdom of Vanavishnupur. And after traveling so long and having no trouble, they were a little distracted. So they all fell asleep. Now Vanavishnupur had a king named Bir Hambir. Bir means very valiant. So not only Bir but Hambir, I am valiant. Valiant, I am valiant. Bir Hambir. But he was actually the leader of dacoit gangs, and his astrologer told him there's some people coming with unlimited wealth locked in a cart. So he had the astrologer check it many times. It said unlimited wealth. So he had his men go there, they cased the joint, they saw that everybody was sound asleep, because the astrologer told you can't take it with violence. It's unlimited wealth, but you cannot. So he said, don't hurt anyone. So they found them all asleep. It was very easy for them to grab that chest out of the special bullock cart, and they ran off to the king. The king was overjoyed. We can't imagine what he thought. He opened up the chest, and there was books. And he called his astrologer. So I don't know. It said rare gems. Every time I did the chart. Then he understood that these are very special books. And he thought, oh my goodness, what have I done? So we can't imagine the distraught nature of Shamananda, Srinivas and Narottam, when they woke up and found the books are stolen, they were ready to give up their lives, but they realized they have to push on with the mission. So Shamananda went to Orissa and Narottam Das went back to Keturigram, and Srinivas said, I will stay here and see if I can recover the books. So he heard from the local people that the king was a big dacoit, so maybe the king was responsible. So he traveled to the capital of Vanavishnupur, and he made friends with one Brahmin there who told him that the king likes to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So that Brahmin took Srinivas with him one time, and he introduced him to the king as a very great learned scholar in Srimad Bhagavatam. So the king said, all right, let me hear. So every day he would speak to Srimad Bhagavatam, the king, explaining all the philosophy of Sriman Mahaprabhu. And the king became very devoted. And finally he asked him, whatever you desire, I will give you. And then he explained the situation, how they had brought all these books, and the king said, oh, I'm so sinful, I'm the one who took them. Then he showed him all of the books. So Srinivas was very happy. They recovered all the books. He joined Narottam he traveled with Janavama to Keturigram for the great Keturigram festival, and all the devotees were overjoyed to hear the books were recovered. And Srinivas's very special disciple was Ramachandra Kaviraj. Because of his beautiful poetry, Narottam gave him the name Kaviraj, and he was very dear to him. That's why we find in one of Narottam's songs, Dayakoro Srinacharya, Prabhu Srinivas, Ramachandra Sangamangi, Narottamo Das. So that's Srinivas Acharya's appearance day today. It's also Madhavendra Puri's appearance day, but we already spoke about Madhavendra Puri. He established the deity of Gopal, who's now going to Nathadwar. Lord appeared in his dream so many times, wants to find the deity, wants to send him to Puri, and after bringing the sandalwood back to Ramuna, he appeared in his dream and said, smear the sandalwood on Gopal and Gopinath, and Gopinath stole the Amrita Keli. Somehow our book says sweet rice, but Shir, just like Shirodakshay Vishnu, he's in the ocean of milk. Shir means sweetened condensed milk. There's not a grain of rice in it, it's not sweet rice. It looks like, almost spelled like kheer, and Bengali pronounced like kheer, but Bengalis, when they say kheer, they say payas or payasam. So anyways, it's actually sweetened condensed milk, very, very wonderful if you've ever been there. Most wonderful place. So that was Madhavendra Puri. And today, Parameswar Thakur. Adi Leela chapter 11 verse 29 says, Parameswar Das Nityanandaika Saran Krishna Bhakti Paya Tane Ye Kari Smaran. Parameswar Das is said to be the fifth Gopal of Krishna Leela, Arjuna, completely surrenders to the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. Anyone who remembers his name, Parameswar Das, will get love of Krishna very easily. Seeing this verse, I have a godbrother and godsister in Alachua. They named their son Parameswar Das, just so that by always remembering their son, they will be sure to get Krishna Prem. So Parameswar Das was one of the 12 Dwadas Gopals, the 12 Gopals who were associates of Lord Nityananda. When Mahaprabhu ordered Lord Nityananda to go back to Bengal and preach, one of the main preachers that he took with him was Parameswar Das. And so he was very devoted to Lord Nityananda, and he assisted him very much in his preaching. So today is also, it says, Pool Dole. So Dole means swing, and Pool of course means flowers. I don't know much about these things. Prabhupada never gave us any special festival to celebrate, but Dole means swing and Pool means flowers. So I guess we should swing the deities in a nice flower swing. And Salil Bihar, Salil means water. So we should have some sort of boating festival for the Lord. But that I know of, Prabhupada never established anything special for these 2 days. So anyway, this is a very, very special, auspicious day. On this auspicious day, one of my dear friends who's listening almost every day, but his mother died this morning, so we asked Hitesh Sampat. So we asked all the devotees to please pray for Hitesh Sampat's mother. So
Today is also Buddha Purnima.
yeah, that's what I said. Today is also Buddha Purnima. I remember from my hippie days, somehow we used to do some festival for this day. So how many people watching today?
Right now 126.
126. So we thank you all for joining us. We have a lot of things to do here, so for a couple of 3 days we'll be off the air. So,
Take a break.
we have to take a break after we've been going and going and going, so we need a little break. So we'll be back again, just to stay tuned. We'll be back here with you again soon. Hare Krishna.